Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas, and I'm delighted to be joined by someone who we look up to in New York as a senior member of our community who is immersed in the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. And he's blessed by his guru, Hariharji Maharaj, who founded Gita centers across the globe. And now, as he joins me today, I also take this opportunity of congratulating him, Kapoor Sahab, on receiving this International Council for Cultural Integration that has conferred Global Award on you. Once again, namaste, welcome.
Thank you.
So let us begin by looking at the recent glory, which when it comes to you, I look at it as another glory for Bhagavad Gita because you are so much now synonymous with the teaching of Gita at several places. So tell me how it made you feel because ICCI, International Center for Cultural Integration, the name itself kind of resonates with the spirit of Gita.
Well, Ashokji, thank you very much for inviting me to the studio. And definitely, this award was very prestigious, and they confer these awards to the individuals who are outstanding in their services to the community in art, in spirituality, and other contributions. And as far as Srimad Bhagavad Gita is concerned, uh, this award is very little in terms of the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita's wisdom is universal. That is the beauty. And these days, when the world is torn apart by small boxes, self-styled sampradayas, religions, the need of Srimad Bhagavad Gita is more than ever. And having said that, the applicability of Srimad Bhagavad, there are 700 verses and 18 chapters, three schools of thoughts, and the devotion, the karma, and the knowledge, jnana. Bhagavad Gita is a science of mind, and there are many choices because there are many type of people. Depending upon your own constitutional setup, anybody can select any approach, but the ultimate, the apex point is the same. So there is no conflict. And I was very much blessed by Swami Hariharji Maharaj. He infused in the young minds all over the world the spirit of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. He
Okay,
established.
so now let me take this opportunity of welcoming you and seeking some clarification. You said there is no conflict, whereas it is all about resolution of the conflict with which the teaching of Gita, if we say, or the dialogue between Arjuna and Sri Krishna happens at the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So conflicts are there in our lives, whether external conflicts or internal conflicts. And let us talk about internal conflicts and let us draw a parallel from the situation of Arjun, where he felt confused whether it is the right thing to do to fight or to just leave everything because everyone belongs to him, etc. And if we look at our lives, there are many instances where we feel unsure whether we should go ahead or we should not. So, in what way the teaching of Gita may help us in being clear and sure about the next step, about the direction that we should take?
It's a beautiful question. So let me say a few things. According to the wisdom of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, there are we have three bodies. One is the physical body, one is the emotional body, and one is the spiritual body. There are three layers. And a common man is not aware of that knowledge. The common man who is always torn apart by the conflicts, they are only dealing with the first layer, the body. And when he or she is tired by struggling with his physical body, he or she touches sometimes the emotional body. Emotional, like we have IQ and EQ, emotional quotient. And that layer, the that is the kingdom of mind. It is the mind over body. If the mind is strong, the body is strong. If the mind is weak, it's an open invitation to the immune system of the body, and we become sick without knowing. So we, in order to understand in this type of atmosphere, we should be more careful about the emotional body. Emotional body means, like I'm just sharing with you one small example to make the point clear. It starts with the desire. Everybody desires certain things. And when we multiply the desires, that is the problem. So desire is immediately converted into action. And action has, when you take the action, there are two options, either success or failure. Success is sukh and failure is dukh. So sukh and
So
dukh,
I interrupt you because what you are saying in it itself, it is quite convincing, and it is moving with profound logic. But there are few steps in between. So when you say success is sukh, success may not always be sukh. Is the experience of many people. They succeed, but they feel that things are not making them happy. That is a common theme which we encounter, because sometimes successful people are also frustrated. But desire and action, that relationship you mentioned, but I just want to bring you back to the dilemma of an individual who has the potential, but he is confused whether he should, let us say, sign this deal or not, whether he should travel at this point of time or not, etc., etc. There could be several. So maybe what you are saying, continue with that, but connect with how Gita helps us in our decision making process, or where we can sort of connect with the message of Gita to have a better and insightful decision.
Ashok, the focal point of Bhagavad Gita is where it starts, that Arjuna, the main character. Arjuna is not a single person. He represents the whole humanity. It's a dialogue between man and God. Man is the humanity. So all human beings go through that process. When there's an emotional shock, it could be anything. When you're emotionally disturbed, then the power of discrimination between right and wrong is compromised. We don't know what is right, what is wrong. And that was Arjuna's problem. He was asking, throughout his life, it's a funny thing to say, throughout his life, he is a warrior of par excellence. And war was just a play. But this time, when his emotional layer was totally compromised by looking at the other side of the enemy, his emotional body was totally disturbed and his mind became very weak. He was very suicidal. People who are in a mode of mind when they are suicidal, they exactly talk like him, they behave like him, and that's why the police comes and they try to persuade him, oh, please calm down, please calm down. There is a better way. So the idea, the
So
question,
I know I am interrupting you again, but I find this word with Arjuna, suicidal, difficult to comprehend, because he is running away from battlefield, or rather, he is thinking that it is not good to fight with his own kith and kin. But nowhere there is a reference that he doesn't want to continue to live. which is what we kind of say is suicide. So, or maybe you are using it in a poetic way where if you refuse to follow through your duty, then that is suicidal. Is that the right way to understand what you just said?
No, no. What I am saying that when emotionally a person is compromised, suppose like there is a character in Mahabharata, uh, Guru Dronacharya. He was very fond of his son, intensely attached to his son. And when he came to know that he is killed, his son is killed, he was the best guru, warrior, teacher, but he was destroyed inside. His emotions were totally compromised and he became very weak. So that is what happens when the emotions are compromised. And at a given level, like if somebody very near and dear passes away, all of a sudden, it's a big shock and it takes time to sustain that shock. So we get many shocks on a daily basis, small, it's a small waves, and we don't notice it. But when big thing happens, the reaction is same. So Bhagavad Gita says, the main character Arjuna, he is talking the outside. Lord Krishna is talking the inside.
If I bring another dimension, which is a part of our society, whether you look at it as an economic entity and you look at the economy of the nation, and this is a consumer driven market which is playing around us, then we are caught up in it. And we don't consider not indulging in sensual pleasures as the right thing, or something that many of us, I mean, I'm not saying about any one individual, but in general. So when you say about taking care of body, and we are using it as a way of deriving sensual pleasure also. Now, in that context, if I am not willing to listen to Narendra Kapoorji telling me that you just abstain and restrain and have no fun of the kind that we consider as fun, then I would say no. Then Gita is not for me. So you see this, these both kind of thoughts are there, and how to reconcile between this idea which says that pleasure seeking is the aim of life, and whatever you say that I'm not mere body but I'm just using this body to have fun. Let's say there are class of people who think like that. So how would you relate to them from Gita?
No, it's a very timely question. And let me address it like this. That in the world in which we live, we have a lot of options and there are a lot of different types of people. And like we say, everybody says that God is one. And God's language is love. All other languages are man-made, and that is the problem. Because we interpret the message in a different way. And we start living in our own pockets, small boxes, and we close it. And no fresh air comes in, and in due course, we become dogmatic. And we don't know the outside world. So most of the people, with very few exceptions, get to know the meaning of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Like it is the rocket science. It's like a computer science. I must know the technicalities of the programming. But if I don't know, I am just like you and me are using the computers. Something goes wrong, we are stuck. We need a mechanic or the programmer to reset it. The same principle is applicable on the human beings also. Human, there are 8.4 million evolutions in this creation. 84 lakh दुनिया है, 84 lakh. Human existence, human body is the apex point of the creation. इसमें कोई नुक्स नहीं है, because Lord Krishna, the creator, whosoever name you can give for your convenience, he created this product, and his product cannot be defective. It is perfect, perfect. The problem is, as I said before, God's language is love. But all other languages are man-made, and that is the problem. So here we do the same thing, that this is the most precious product in which we are clothed, and we are not using it the way it should be used.
Based on your appreciation of Bhagavad Gita at early part of your life, and we have talked about it earlier also, having heard it from your Guru Swami Hariharji Maharaj, how that changed your approach towards the way you related to your work here in New York, which is considered as a commercial capital of the world in one way, and you were going to Manhattan or wherever. So, talk to us a little bit about that side, please.
Ashokji, it's a very emotional and personal question you asked me, and I will try to give the answer. In 1981, there was a satsang or a prayer meeting. We were living in Queens. किसी के अपार्टमेंट में prayer meeting की सत्संग था. After the satsang, there was a line, as we do, and Swami Hariharji Maharaj, he was the greatest exponent of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Every iota of his body was a mini Gita. So he was distributing the prasad. And when my came, myself and my wife was there in the line. So when I bowed my head and spread my hand and touched his feet and got the prasad, he looked at me point blank. He said, बेटा भगवत गीता पढ़ते हो? तो we were very young at that time. हमने सुना हुआ था भगवत गीता, but we didn't see that. Traditionally we were a family of Arya Samaj. My father was a very great leader in Punjab, Lala Rambhai Dutt Kapoor of Arya Samaj. So I said, महाराज जी, हमने तो पिक्चर में हम देखते हैं वो भी लिपटी होती है कपड़े में और एक्टर जो भी कैरेक्टर है वो ये कहता है कि मैं इस पे हाथ रख कर, कोर्ट का जो एम्प्लॉय है वो कहता है इस पे हाथ रख कर कहोगे जो कहोगे सच कहोगे. So I said this and he laughed. He looked at me seriously. He said, बेटा ये ज्ञान का सागर है, इसमें बड़े हीरे मोती हैं, इसको पढ़ो, इसका चिंतन मनन करो और digest it, and then share this wisdom with your counterparts. And so I don't know, I was totally electrified. I am not a student of, I don't want to boast, I am not a student of Sanskrit. I am by profession attorney. I was with the federal government for many, many years. So being a student of law without knowing Sanskrit, I start writing on a piece of paper, small piece of paper, one verse of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, starting from chapter 1, Dharmakshetre, Kurukshetre. I wrote it. And I wrote not in Sanskrit, I wrote in the Romanized English. And I made sure that when we used to travel by train, I made sure that when I come back, it should register in my memory. So the process started. I had a very profound conviction now because he had already blessed me. and there was a lot of burning fire in me. So it took me approximately 10 to 12 years to memorize the entire text of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, 700 verses.
Wow.
And when it happened, the knowledge of Sanskrit language, I don't know from where it came. And I was talking in Sanskrit, all the verses. Forget about the Romanized now. So that is the story of my, with utmost humility, with the blessings of Guruji. It happened a miracle.
Yeah, I think there are very few I know who memorize the whole Bhagavad Gita. And now, as we move towards the concluding part of our conversation, let us pick two shlokas from Bhagavad Gita, and one I will pick, and second I would request you to pick. And the one that I have is from ninth chapter, and probably it is 18th shloka, which is Man mana bhava madbhakto madhyajimam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yuktatvev matmanam mat parayanaha. So very loosely, if I say the essence of this shloka is that if you focus, meditate on me, and then you will be with me, there is no doubt about it. Something like that. Meditating on the Lord and in the form of Lord Krishna is again a matter of grace, I would say. What would you say?
Once I understand that this what is ego? The definition of ego is I am pretending what I am not. That is the definition of ego. I am pretending what I am not. So people whose ego is very strong, there are litmus tests. वो हर टाइम इग्नाइट होने के लिए तैयार है. उनकी अथॉरिटी को आप चैलेंज करो, वेदर इज अ स्मॉल डिस्कशन और अ टेक्निकल डिस्कशन, घर में वाइफ के साथ बात है, बच्चे के साथ बात है, द मोमेंट ही इज चैलेंज, he is the most angry man. So anger and ego are, it's a flip coin, directly proportionate, not inversely proportionate. So this ego dominated body में हम रहते हैं, हमने अपनी दुनिया बनाई हुई है. एक तो दुनिया है 7.8 billion people crowded on this planet, और एक 7.8 billion लोगों की अपनी दुनिया जो किसी से नहीं मिलती. So that is the beauty of this creation. I must understand that. ये जो 5 elements हैं, gross elements, इनमें 5 sensory perceptions हैं, ज्ञान इंद्रियां हैं. उसके थ्रू जब information mind को मिलती है, that information is transferred to intellect. That is a screening process. Whosoever is intellect is attached to the cosmic energy, which is जीवात्मा, उसकी memory में अच्छी बातें जाती है. But if it is dominated by the ego, वो जो screening process is not functioning properly, और उसमें वो बातें जाती हैं जो उसको दुख देती हैं.
क्या बात?
सुख वाली बात उसको याद ही नहीं रहती. आपने किसी के साथ 10 साल तक उसकी बड़ी सेवा की है, बड़ी हेल्प की है, बड़ा प्यार था. एक दिन बैड डे आपने कोई गलती कर दी, दैट्स द एंड. द पर्सन हु इज डोमिनेटेड बाय द ईगो, वो आप उसको 10 ईयर का रैकेट बिल्कुल डिलीट हो जाएगा, एंड इसको वो मेमोरी में पेस्ट कर देगा और वो भूलेगा नहीं. तो ये जो ईगो का तमाशा है, ईगो का तमाशा, ये ही भगवत गीता का है मैसेज है फ्रॉम द रूफ टॉप, कि ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड द प्रोसेस के वर्क कैसे करता है.
क्या बात, कितना सुंदर ढंग से आपने बताया नरेंद्र कपूर साहब. मुझे बहुत प्रसन्नता है, हमारे कई दर्शक इस बात से जुड़ेंगे कि जो ईगो ड्रिवन लिविंग है उसके क्या क्या डेंजर्स हैं, और प्रिटेंडिंग टू बी व्हाट यू आर नॉट एक अलग तरह से ईगो देखने का ढंग आपने बताया. और अगर इसका दूसरा साइड इस सिक्के का देखा जाए तो मतलब है कि जो सत्य के साथ जुड़कर जिएगा तो वो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट में भी नहीं जाएगा और लड़ाई लड़ाई झगड़े से भी मुक्त रहेगा, आनंद में रहेगा। बहुत सारी बातें हैं आपसे सीखने को कपूर साहब। फिर एक बार मैं अपने दर्शकों के साथ आपको बधाई देना चाहता हूँ ICCI के ग्लोबल अवार्ड के लिए भी। और जैसे आपने बताया श्रीमद् भगवद गीता में अंदर के जगत की बात भी है, बाहर के जगत की बात की है, और दोनों के संबंध के बारे में भी बात है, और किस तरह से इसको अपनाने से जीवन में एक सौंदर्य माधुर्य निखरता है। आपने स्वयं अनुभव किया, वो भी आपने बताया। तो आपका बहुत सारा धन्यवाद करते हुए हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए आभार है आपको।
Ashok ji, thank you very much. And it was a very inspirational discussion. You asked questions, and those questions were so valuable. You understand Bhagavad Gita. I am just reinforcing that.
Thank you very much, sir. And I think each one of us understand, because that is somewhere related to life. And may our life be full of glory by satsang or interaction with Gita Marmagya like Narendra Kapoor ji. And I was going to say Maharaj, but then again, that is like Maharaj. But then he's a disciple of Hariyarji Maharaj. So he's also Maharaj now. Thanking him with folded hands and thanking all of you with lots of good wishes. This is Ashok Vyas.